boy, I love Street Fighter 6. There's just one issue: content drought. Since Season 1, we've had a steady flow of 4 characters per pass, but occasionally there's a drought. One could say that we've been getting battle passes, but those have no place in a fighting game in the first place. A few months ago, Capcom did put out a statement about content and how they'll start dropping stuff more frequently starting Season 3. The biggest concern was about costumes, but that got me thinking about something: more stages. Street Fighter 6 already has some great stages, but I'm biased towards a few of them. DLC stages have been pretty good so far, but those are themed depending on the character they come out with. The other problem is that some characters don't even have their own stages. So, what if Capcom did separate stage DLC? These ideas were based on what I think would go best. First on my list is E-Honda. Honda's stage is pretty simple to consider. If you want to go with nostalgia, just use his bathhouse stage from Street Fighter 2. If we want to go for something more based in Street Fighter 6, E-Honda's Chunko Stew restaurant works out too. Honda mentions that sumo wrestling goes on to give entertainment while people eat, meaning that a fight could go on there just as easily. I'd love to get through Loop to Hell while some kid eats Chunko Stew in the background. Picking a stage for Ken was pretty easy too. The subway stage from Third Strike could just make a comeback. Considering where Ken is in the current story, it doesn't really make sense to me to drop him in front of a yacht. A rough looking train can also symbolize Ken's current struggles on his journey of life. Yeah boys, I'm feeling pretty wise today, lock in. Ken could also just have his stage be a construction site. Juri doesn't have a stage either. Not a threat to anyone, and not even the craziest girl in the game anymore. If Juri did have a stage, it would definitely be in Soul's nightlife. My vision is that the characters fight on the street while a bunch of partygoers remain in the background. It would actually make me want to listen to Juri's theme. Next up is Jamie. I decided to pick something based off of Yoon's stage in Second Impact due to Jamie seeing Yoon and Yang as his mentors in SF6 lore. The brothers could stand in the background spectating whatever fight is going on. Rest in peace. Some of the DLC characters don't have an assigned stage, those being Aki, Ed, and Mai. For Aki, there's the simple route of just sticking her with Chun-Li and Tianhong Yuan, but I wanted every character to have a stage unique to them, so I came up with 2 different scenarios. The first scenario would be giving Aki some kind of field or plant sanctuary just to reflect the stuff that she puts in her medicines. There can even be a cauldron somewhere nearby. Secondly, Aki could keep Tianhong Yuan, but in turn, Chun-Li gets her own stage, which could be the place you meet her in World Tour or just a nostalgia stage. I feel like both scenarios could work out. For Ed's stage, I think a boxing ring could work out just fine. The only requirement would just be making the boxing ring different from Macho Ring. I would hope that this wouldn't conflict with the eventual release of Balrog or Dudley. And lastly, a stage for Mai would be really simple. Her Raft stage from Fatal Fury 2 could work out well. It could potentially be the first scrolling stage in the game, but shit man, we already know what it would look like through World Tour, so we have an idea of what it would look like. It looks good even if it doesn't scroll. Now, those are just some ideas for potential DLC stages. I also had another idea for how DLC stages can be decided. Nostalgia. Over the years, there's been a ton of great stages across the Street Fighter franchise. Like I implied earlier with Honda's stage, there's a ton of classic stages that I feel like should be in the game. Starting in Street Fighter 2, yeah, that's right, I'm skipping Street Fighter 1. Cry about it, little bro. A few of Street Fighter 2's stages have already been reimagined in Street Fighter 6, so there's only 2 stages in particular that I'd like to see. First is Suzaku Castle, which is always a stage that comes to mind when I think of Ryu. I think the architecture and sky would translate really well over to Street Fighter 6. I'm a pretty big fan of Genbu Temple though, so I don't necessarily need Suzaku Castle. Next up is English Manor. I'll be honest, my main reason for picking this stage is because those Northern Light graphics would go hard as hell in the RE engine, but the castles themselves and everything in the background would look really great as well. Moving on to the alpha games, boy do the stages in this series look great. First off is Field of Fate. I can't stress how much I want this stage in the game. It came from the Street Fighter 2 animated movie, and ever since then it has become one of the most iconic fighting game stages of all time in my opinion. Another stage I'm really into is our Mika stage from Alpha 3. Another simple one, but my reason is its uniqueness. Mika's stage is a makeshift wrestling ring in the middle of a beach town. Look me in the eyes right now and tell me that idea isn't fire. Even though Street Fighter 6 has the Macho ring, I think Mika's stage is unique enough to come to the game. Lastly, for Alpha, I picked Sagat's stage from Alpha 3. I would have chosen this for the Street Fighter 2 selection, but I prefer the Alpha 3 iteration. The water slowly creeping onto the shore and the lily pads look beautiful already, but I especially love how the statue is coming out of the water. If this ever sees a Street Fighter 6 makeover, I'd like it if the statue was moved just a bit back further to emphasize the waterfall and the mountains in the background more. For the Street Fighter 3 series, I already picked 2 stages, so I'll throw in one more to balance the options up to 3. Coming from New Generation, I honestly love Ryu's stage here a lot. The small town you fight in has a great vibe going on too. You can see villagers in the background spectating or just doing whatever they want in the background. You can also see some huge fucking mountains in the background. Needless to say, this stage rocks. Moving on to Street Fighter 4, this game has some stages that I found to be absolute bangers. First off is Jurassic Facility. This stage is goofy as hell, but I love it. What's cooler than dinosaurs rampaging while you fight? Nothing. Exactly. The only thing you'll ever have to worry about is if a dinosaur breaks out and starts eating your fighter. But then again, if the dinosaur eats Ken, it might not be a bad thing. The next stage is Volcanic Rim. This is one stage I couldn't leave out. This stage is pretty self-explanatory. You fight at a volcano. Capcom honestly doesn't need to do anything to bring this stage to Street Fighter 6 because I think it's fire the way it is. I'll see myself out. My last pick for a Street Fighter 4 stage is Driver Dinen. I'm a big fan of that old school 50s feel to this stage thanks to the diner and all the cars. I also feel like this is one of the stages where a street fight actually can realistically work out at any moment. And lastly, time for Street Fighter 5. I'll be honest, compared to the previous games, there's only a few stages from this game that really interest me. I looked at a few stages and I picked out 2 that I think should be in Street Fighter 6 the most. Just a little FYI, I don't actually have Street Fighter 5 because I have no money, so these picks are from tournaments and character highlights that I've watched. First is Sun Chase Moon. Dude, this stage is actually really good, but I feel like it could go insane if brought to Street Fighter 6. Like if I actually see that sky in the RE engine, I'm gonna fucking orgasm. I would say that one requirement for this stage coming to Street Fighter 6 is Gil being in the game as well. I'm not saying that Gil can't get his own original Street Fighter 6 stage, but it would be cool to have this for nostalgia. Lastly, I love Kanzuki Estate. The stage feels pretty intimate in the foreground and there's a lot to observe in the background while overall just being peaceful. I think that this is the best stage in Street Fighter 5 along with Gil's stage, and I hope that this stage gets reimagined when Karin inevitably comes to Street Fighter 6. So, even though I listed all of these nostalgia stages, I don't want all of them in the game. Nostalgia stages would just take up way too much space, and Street Fighter 6 should be getting new original stages first and foremost. With all that said, what ideas do you have for new stages? Or what else would you want to see for nostalgia? Let me know in the comments below. I've been your host, Mystic Ramen, and until next time, keep on grinding.